you sure as hell won't see him naked. I'm naked, shirtless. Holy shit! Why did I say naked? He's like,
why did
you should be so lucky. You should be so lucky. Yeah.
What are you doing here, man?
You know there's a sex tape out there. You know there's a sex tape out there. I saw that
picture of him playing tennis, and folks, I would hit. It would be.
I'll kick it off then, because I think Fetterman, it's his brand. And I think the more importantly than having a certain sense of style, because if you look at every other politician, they are a manufactured blob in a suit. It's all the same. There's very little personality to any of them, right? And here comes Fetterman. No fucks given at all. He comes in hoodie and shorts. Let the man cook, right? Like, do I think under normal circumstances it would fit? Like, you dress for the occasion, right? Like when I'm going to an interview, whether I have you dress a certain way for certain parts of your job, certain meetings, I dress a certain way. I dress for my audience, right? I don't overdress for a certain type of audience because I don't want to look like a dick. Because I'm in sales, right? So it's important that you try and meet your audience where they're at. But Fetterman, from day one, has created this brand around him. I say, let the man do his thing. Plus he's a big dude. What's anyone gonna say to this guy? That's my take. I don't know. John, what do you think?
So my take, I loved this entire story. Now, first of all, it's dumb that it got so much attention. It's just let's just preface this. This was a dumb thing to like have so much attention around it. But like, I think that's kind of the point of all of this. And like, I'm so gung-ho on Team Fetterman here. First of all, he's my senator. I fucking love him. I don't think I've ever been as proud to have voted for a person as I was to have voted for John Fetterman. Because he's real. Like how we said about Donald Trump, like he's not trying to be crazy. That's his real personality. Like John Fetterman isn't wearing this just necessarily as like some like political stunt, like the other senators who like came in a bathrobe or whatever, clear political stunt. This is just John Fetterman's personality. This is what John Fetterman believes is right. And I genuinely also believe that it is right. I think that the statement that is being implicitly made by him here is that why the hell should he dress in a suit if it doesn't make him more effective at his job? If he's going to be uncomfortable sitting around, walking around the Capitol, doing all this stuff, like how does that help the American people to enforce that? It doesn't make any sense to me. And there's so many jobs in this country that you can say the same damn thing about. Like I like going into the office for a job that I had, like after I was remote and going back in the office, I said, God damn it, I'm wasting at least 30 minutes every day getting dressed and getting undressed and like doing all this shit. That's completely fucking unnecessary. Like I can maybe understand if I'm seeing a client, have a nice, but when I'm just talking with my coworkers, why the hell do I have to be wearing a suit and tie? It makes no fucking sense. It takes more of my time. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm dedicating a certain amount of mental energy to it. Why are we doing this to ourselves? What are we getting out of it? And I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I've yet to really get a good, legitimate answer as to why it's better for us to wear a suit on the Senate floor. I don't get it. Does anyone disagree with it? Because I know that like this is like a strong thing, but
so let me jump in here. So let me get a poll of the room. Do you guys generally care about style or fashion, or like a sense of like selecting what you wear besides obligations you feel? Like, do you do this for your own enjoyment? John, you first. It just sounds like you don't.
Do you
sounds
see
like
what I'm wearing right now?
That's what I'm guessing.
I know when I want to, it's fun. But like if I have to dress a certain way for a job, it just feels like pointless bullshit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Desmond, how about you?
The day-to-day thing. Just depends on the day, depends on the situation.
Okay, TJ?
I care deeply in about it. I genuinely do. I always, the phrase, you don't dress for the job you have, you dress for the job you want. I do that. Now, when I was in the Army, like it didn't matter. You wouldn't say it for you. But every other time, like I don't always, but I often wear a tie to work, and I don't have to. But that comes a lot from like what was instilled in me by my parents, and like especially as a Black person, it's like I want to stand out that way. Like in a
He's
it's
so
just
well dressed.
exactly.
so
I know, right?
articulate.
Yeah, it's like
He's
I
so
know. It's like,
articulate.
he's one of the good ones. I know. I'm buying into it, but I also want to be
Here we
ahead of my
go.
competition.
His parents had a good culture.
Oh my God, yeah. They
He
did a
was
great
raised
job
right.
raising you. Yeah,
I
it's
bet you
like,
he had a dad.
you are a credit to your race, young man. but but look, so although knowing that, saying that though, John's 100% right. He's 100% right, and I fucking hate to admit it, but there is something like there is a cultural like a cultural experience that we have with this. Like, if you were going in to get like heart surgery, and your doctor walked in dressed like John Fetterman, you're like, no. Now, listen. That doesn't make him a worse doctor. It doesn't. Like what he's wearing.
If you're getting surgery, yeah, you should be wearing scrubs.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
But like you can just put that the stuff over anyway. But you know what I'm saying. Like if you were flying a pilot flying a plane coming in dressed up like that, okay, like, it would be weird, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. Now, the Senate, I don't care. I really don't. Like, I think they should be able to wear, whatever they want. And it kind of disheartened me that they actually, oh no, we're locking down the suit and tie rule again. It's ridiculous. But I'm begrudgingly pro Fetterman on this. But that's just like my personal thing. I'm not mad at him for wearing that or whatever. But people getting, selectively outraged over this when they're not. They don't give a fuck either. It's just.
So TJ, for having been in the Army, like this is a really good point I want to bring up in the whole uniform thing. When did you enlist?
2011.
Okay, so you were past. So I enlisted back in 03. And I still had the classic BDUs and black boots.
Oh so God! Oh no!
Shined boots. Yeah, shined boots, pressed uniforms, starched uniforms. Yep. So I actually wrote an article about this a while back, talking about how the Army influenced my sense of style. Because this idea that you, as a soldier, there's a certain level of effort you had to put in to maintain your uniform beyond the usual day-to-day. This is stuff you did on your free time. But it usually was a strong arbiter of the kind of quality you possessed as a soldier. You didn't typically find high-speed soldiers with crappy uniforms.
You never did. Never did.
And vice versa. Like, pretty much, if your uniform looked like trash, you kind of were substandard as a soldier, because they were intrinsically linked. These weren't things you could separate as a soldier, especially when you had to have shiny boots back in the day. None of y'all people joining in the mid 2006 afterwards had to deal with any of this, but
I had to climb up the hill both ways back then.
And it was cold.
Well, so we're going to the Army, like inside baseball. Sorry, guys. He used the term high speed. That's a military term that you're squared away. High speed, low drag is the funniest thing we say. But it ended up displaying itself in ways that were just like, how much money could you spend to look nice? Because like getting your rank and your name tag sewed on looked better than it being Velcroed on. And like, ooh, you look squared away. But if you had the $40 to spend to do it, but maybe you didn't. And the boots though, still, they weren't nearly as like much maintenance as like shining the black boots, but the suede boots like they look scuffed up and everything like that. But you're right, like the uniform and how fast you ran were basically how you were judged. That was like 80%.
And how you shot.
All right, how you shot, yeah, or how you judged in the military. Sorry, guys, we're on a weird tangent there.
No, but so I agree with a lot of your sentiments on like not wanting to have to get dressed, like John talking about wasting that kind of time. But I think for myself, I do it like I dress a certain way because I enjoy it. Like the occasions I have, like I've got like a nice double-breasted suit and I Crockett John shoes, right? I enjoy the way it makes me feel.
Same.
And it depends on the event. Like if there's an event, an excuse for me to dial it up a notch, I enjoy that. And I've had image consulting clients, so I did that as a side hustle, where I help people kind of elevate their initial perceptions, because we can't help it as humans that we have initial perceptions. Kind of like you talked about the doctor coming up to you in a hoodie. You kind of want to see them prepared for the job. You want to see them in scrubs. or scrubs with a tie. It matters, right? It does matter.
And it's unfortunate too, because not everyone is like that, just naturally. Like, you know how some guys move like they were born in a suit? Like it's just like part of their body. And then another guy moves like, you know, like when you put clothes on a dog or something, that's like walking around like Frankenstein's. Like, that's just, there's just different people like that. And if you're one of the guys that looks comfortable in a suit, you're gonna do better. It's unfortunate, but this is true.
Well, Obama looked comfortable in a suit, and DeSantis.
I know.
I like that you guys brought up the whole like military thing and like that perception, because it reminds me of, I forget, was it Mackey? I don't know. There was like a big military general that wrote a book, and he's like the most important thing to do is make your bed in the morning. And I remember I was like, that's the biggest fucking bull crap I've ever fucking heard. like I was just like, why is wasting time doing your bed in the morning going to help you do other things? And now that I'm a little older and like I've seen things, I get the mentality. I get like, okay, do things right, have a process, do them good, and you will be good. If you do all the little things right, you'll do the big things right.
Consistency. It's the consistency. That's
important. That's an important mentality. That works for some people. Does not work for everyone. There are many many successful people who've never made their fucking bed in their entire life. And I think that's like the point being made here, is that for Barack Obama, for people who like to dress like that, like, yeah, it's probably good for them. It probably helps them do better at their job. They probably feel confident and they feel better at being a leader. But that's not John Fetterman. You're trying to judge a fish by how well they climb a tree. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm glad we had Dan here, because like this is in his wheelhouse. But I'm a little upset that we didn't have some of our more staunchly anti-capitalist guests on today, because I do think there's also a significant class struggle line to this of as you mentioned TJ, that you are perceived as a better soldier if you have the stitched on, and you're saying this, I have no fucking clue, but like you're perceived as a better soldier of the stitched on rank and everything, but that costs money, and it's easy for someone of even middle class standing to do that, but someone of lower class standing, that $40 might be significant, and the requirement to dress nicely. I remember when I got my first job, and I'm upper middle class, like I am not struggling, I am a very privileged white man, but like even then, my first job out of college, I had to buy a whole fucking wardrobe, and I was like, God damn it, thank God my parents were able to help me with this. I don't know what the fuck I would have done if I had to just buy a couple suits straight out of college. It would have really hampered me and set me back. And it's one of those things, one of those norms in our society that we don't think about, but it inherently gives an advantage to people who already have an advantage. Desmond, you haven't said much, and I want to throw to you and make sure that you get any thoughts in you on here.
No, I saw the conversations moving a certain way. I didn't want to disrupt it too much because I might have the dissenting view here, or at least I'm going to present it, even if I don't actually believe in it. So I was hearing people talk about this, and I thought it was an interesting kind of like, parallel here. First they were saying that when Senate, Majority Leader Schumer, brought down this ruling, it was only for the senators, not for their staff. And it was also like something that wasn't going to be happening in the House because, Speaker McCarthy was not going to like have this being happening over in the other chamber. So it did seem very selective that it was just for the senators and only for the senators, and
just
not
the
for
male senators, by the way.
Not for anyone else. So I do think there's a little bit of a problem with this, because, the question really becomes is it actually important or not for people to dress professionally on, like in a government building? And does that matter? Does that actually matter? And if it doesn't matter, then why just be selective about its application? And so I think it's the hypocrisies, I think, a little bit around it that we're kind of like ruffling some feathers here. And I think that's definitely worth discussing. Like, should this have been applied universally? And also, do people really need to be in suits to be taken seriously in a government building?
No and no. That's that's my answer. I mean, and to me, this is one of those issues.
So you don't think it needs to be like applied universally?
Well, I mean, the universal rule should be there is no rule. Dress however the fuck you want. Like, that's genuinely, if you want to dress in a suit, go dress in a suit. If you think that gives you an advantage, go do it. If you think dressing in sweats gives you an advantage, go do it. If like I think there is an innate hypocrisy between the people who are like, we need to be the most productive society, the best people rise to the top, but also you need to wear a suit whether it helps you or not.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And like, I don't understand. There's a lot of issues that like, I understand the other side of the argument. Since I was fucking 5 years old, my mom tried to make me put on a fucking tie to go to goddamn church. I've never understood this argument, and you know, I can. It doesn't make. I'll never be convinced on this one.
So Desmond, I really like that you brought that point. I think there could be some bias in our perspective with Fetterman because it is so on brand for him from day one, and he's not trying to be anything else. And ultimately, he does work for his constituents. So if his constituents, having one on the call, or having one here now with John, actually having voted for Fetterman and seeing his support for the way he is, who he is, because of who he is as a person, I think that it makes sense with what he does that he should be allowed to. But I also do agree that, you know, if you're going to apply a rule, you know, without rules, we live with the animals, right? John Wick, you know, saying there, this is actually a more thoughtful, thorough debate than I thought it was going to be in terms of talking about attire.
Well,
right?
it is because we have to combine like what we know is true, that the fact that he was wearing, you know, flip-flops and shorts doesn't change how good of a senator he is, and also, you know, combine that with the reality that perception is a big deal, that people see a guy like if every senator wore like a tank top and shorts, people would take them less seriously, and maybe they should. But I mean, like that is the reality. And so that's the hard part. Like you know,
but we already have a mechanism for correcting for that. If people aren't taking them seriously, they won't vote for them. Like there doesn't need to be a dress code to reinforce a mechanism that we already have.
Fair enough.
I mean, Trump's always in a suit.
Right. Yeah. It's an illusion. It's all an illusion, and I play into So
but that's part of his brand ever since the '80s, right? I mean, the man's always had a suit and tie.
I mean, well, now he does it because if he wore a T-shirt, you know, he looked like Mrs. Puff. I mean, like the guy, you can't do that.
He golfs. You see that when he golfs.
Yeah, so you will only see Trump in a suit or a polo shirt. You will never see him in a T-shirt. You sure as hell won't see him naked. I'm naked, shirtless. Holy shit! Why did I say naked? He's like,
why did you
should
do
be
that?
so lucky. You should be so lucky. Yeah.
What are you doing, man?
You know there's a sex tape out there. You know there's a sex tape out there.
I saw that picture of him playing tennis, and folks, I would hit. It would be. He'd be a three-bagger, a bag for my face, a bag for his face, and a bag for anyone, God forbid, looking through the window. But I would hit like that. That thing is juicy.
Oh my goodness.
We cannot end this segment on that thing is juicy. Someone else says something else.
We digress.
No, let's just cut it right
there. let's just say this. His effectiveness, like you said, the perception matters if it affects how people perceive you to do your job. In this specific case with Fetterman, because people voted for him looking the way he is, they embraced who he was, who this hoodied, shorted, flip-flopped man was. I think it's actually almost disingenuous for him to put on a suit.
And also, what I just thought about something when John talked about how there's a mechanism to correct for that, but that's for the individual. Now, for the Senate body, like let's say if you're really concerned about the Senate body being taken seriously, and then it's like, oh well, no one's taking the group seriously. That would kind of affect. Once again, like I know,
but no one is taking the group seriously.
Right?
No one's taking the group. That's for other reasons.
Your goal,
for other reasons.
But if that's your goal, I can see. Well, I don't know. It's like,
State of the Union. How about this? State of the Union, right? Let's or like big like things like, you know, addressing the Senate or, you know, big chamber like publicized events. Everyone, there should be some uniformity there.
I can agree with that. Because it's a show.
It's a show. It's an event. It's a thing. Versus, you know, the day-to-day stuff no one's watching on C-SPAN. It's boring anyways. Who cares? Like, you know, they're in there for hours.
I don't see a difference because like both of them are official procedures. Both of them are televised. Like I don't really, yeah, sure. One only happens once a year, but it's still doing your job. I don't know, but it's
I mean, if we're splitting hairs here, what if like when he's not in the chamber, he's dressing how he wants?
Look, that's exactly what he's doing. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. Like when
he suits up in the chamber.
Yeah, he wears a suit. Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. Yeah,
he has a quick change team.
He's like Clark Kent. He's got
like in a play,
a phone booth. Like Clark Kent.
Yeah. Well, yeah, his suit is actually Velcro. It just comes off in one piece.
And we'll end this segment on this the official response from John Fetterman. If you guys haven't seen it yet, he made an official media press release to respond to the new dress code, and all it was the King of Queens meme with the smirk, and she's like, that is so John Fetterman to the core.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons.
It's on brand.
Yeah,
it's on brand.
It is.